What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Rassic Brothers YouTube channel. Today we've got a pretty stereotypical but necessary video to make. It is the AFL Ladder Predictions for the 2023 season. You'll see predictions from all Reid, Ward and I, but unfortunately we're unable to do it all in the same location due to life just being busy. So I'm doing it from the home I currently live at, and Reid and Ward are doing it from our family home. So yeah, it's always fun to look back and see how well we predicted the AFL season. And yes, previous years we've got some good predictions and some not so good predictions, so we'll see how this year goes. Yeah, don't think there's much else to say except let's see who I have in my 18th position. Okay, so in 18th position I have the North Melbourne Football Club. Yeah, I don't see them climbing this year, unfortunately for them. They could prove me wrong. I think they'll be more competitive this year in games. They'll stay in games for longer and potentially put a few more wins on the board, cause a few more upsets. However, I can't see North Melbourne climbing the ladder just yet. So that's why I have them in 18th position.
For last, I've got West Coast.
Alright.
Because they're trash.
Because they're
And
trash.
I've got no good players. Tim Kelly's trying to grow a mullet. Dom Sheed's so bad. That's pretty much it. They've lost all their good players too.
I've gone West Coast as well. All their former good players are past it now, and the mix with old players and young players just doesn't work together good like it does for, say, a Geelong. So West Coast, gee, their veterans are well and truly past it now, and I think they're going to finish 18th.
Okay, next up at 17th position, I have the West Coast Eagles. Similar sort of thing with North Melbourne. Still very much a rebuild at West Coast. I think they'll get a couple more wins in North, 1 to 2 more wins maybe, just because of their advantage at Optus Stadium. Not that it's as heavy at the moment. They still definitely get a drive playing at their home ground, so I think they might bank 1 to 2 more wins more than North Melbourne, and those wins being at their home deck. Besides that, I don't really see them doing too much damage to the competition this year. Still got some young players that need development, and yeah, they just very much need to bring some more talent in, I believe. So West Coast, 17.
Okay, for 17, I've got GWS.
Yeah.
Because they've lost Jacob Hopper and Tim Taranto, which were two of their best players. And last year they didn't do too good. They've lost 2 of their good players. So they're gonna do even worse. That's all I have.
I've got GWS too. They've still got some good players. You got Toby Green, Tom Green, Lockie Whitfield, but it's just not enough, I don't think. They're lacking in some areas. For example, the back line isn't great for them. Their key forwards have potential in Jesse Hogan and Jake Riccardi, but I think it's just going to be a tough year for GWS. Their forward line will struggle against strong defensive sides, and yeah, we both have GWS for 7.
So next up at 16th, I have the Essendon Bombers. Sorry, Essendon fans, another year without finals, I believe, and a bit of a drop down the ladder. Yeah, they're just lacking. They're lacking real structure and strategy in their performance, I believe. Hopefully, Brad Scott can implement some of that and improve their performance each week, but I just can't see that happening this year. I think it's very much a work in progress for the Bombers. definitely in somewhat of a rebuild stage. I could be wrong. This is just my opinion, but yeah, I think they're going to need to bring a bit more talent in and definitely get some more games into those younger players. So that's why I have the Bombers at 16th.
The 16th I have North because they're not going to do too bad, I don't think. They're not going to do as bad as West Coast and GWS for those reasons what I just said. They've got a couple good players. Harry Sheasel starting.
Yeah. Yeah, I promise this isn't a joke, guys. I've got North for 16th as well. I mean, they're very young, but in a few years, I think North Melbourne are going to be a dangerous side. Harry Sheasel, I've been watching him in the draft around, and he looks to be a great player. They got Wardlaw as well. They've got some good young talent in North Melbourne. Davies Uniacke. Their midfield is pretty solid. But yeah, I think they're a bit too young for now. And Alistair Clarkson is really going to help North Melbourne with their rebuild, and they'll be back in a few years.
So next up at 15th, I have the Hawks. Yeah, similar situation to the Bombers. I think that they lacking some talent and definitely need to get some development and some games into the younger players they have on their list. Sam Mitchell, young coach, he is growing and developing along with his players. I think he's a great coach, but still he's in the early stages of his coaching career, so obviously he's learning things himself. I think the Hawks' time will come again, but just not in 2023. So yeah, sorry Hawks fans, but 15th.
Okay, for 15th, I have Hawks.
Yep.
I mean, they're not too bad, but it's just that they keep losing to every team by like 1 point. And they've got some good players, but they've lost their best player to Collingwood, of course.
Yeah, you're right. Hawthorn, they're another young team, but I do think, they've got some promise. But I've got a different one for 15th. I haven't got the Hawks. I have got the St Kilda Football Club. I know what you're thinking. I'm sorry to any Saints fans out there.
What,
Cardman
Eunice?
22, Eunice, of course. But yeah, I think the Saints, they've got a few injuries. I noticed Marcus Windhager's injured himself last night. Max King, of course, is injured. Jack Hayes still, so they're going to struggle in their forward line. And, well, I don't know, I think their defence is a little lacking as well. They just don't have the star power to be one of those attacking teams for finals footy, to push for finals footy. St Kilda, I'm sorry, I think you're going to drop down to 15th position.
Next up at 14th, Gold Coast Suns. I wish I could have them higher. I thought I would have had them higher prior to making this this ladder prediction, but yeah, I don't know. I think I've just been a little bit put off by their pre-season, just a tad. I mean, shouldn't really go off pre-season, but yeah, I just can't really see them finishing higher than any of the other teams that I have above them. So yeah, sorry Gold Coast fans, but not that there's many of you, but yeah, I think you're still developing as an organisation. You'll eventually make finals, but yeah, can't see it happening yet. So 14th for the Gold Coast Suns.
Okay, 14th I have the Saints. Saints. So yeah, pretty much same reasons as Reid. Sorry to Eunice and Cardman too, but like Saints, they're not gonna do good at all this year. I mean, they were alright last year, but did I Max King?
Yeah, but he's injured.
Yeah, for like the first games.
He won't be playing, I don't think, at the start. But yeah, you've got Saints for 14th. I have got Hawthorn, so we've switched for 14th and 15th, Ward and I. But yeah, like Ward said before, they're a pretty young team, the Hawks. They've lost a few of their star players. They were impressive against Collingwood in that pre-season game, that's for sure. One thing about Hawthorn, their forward line looks solid. You've got Mitch Lewis, Kaczynski, Fergus Green even looks to be a good
They've
player.
got Will Day. He's pretty good.
Wingard can go up forward, Dylan Moore, and even Luke Bruce is still a handy forward. So I think Hawthorn in that forward line are pretty good. Their defence isn't bad either. It's just they're a young side. John Newcombe seems to be a gun, but yeah, Hawthorn 14th position, and they should rise up in the next few years.
13th. With another, step in the right direction for this football club, Adelaide Crows in 13th. I think they're moving in the right direction. They are the epitome of a rebuilding club, and they are executing that name to perfection. They're rebuilding and they're moving up the ladder. So, I believe Adelaide will move to 13th. Can't quite remember where they finished last year, but I think they'll win some games at Adelaide Oval. They'll always be competitive there. I don't think they'll get blown out too much this season. I think they'll be competitive in most games, but I think still got a bit to go with improving their side and their performance. So that's why I have Adelaide at 13th.
Okay, for 13th, I've got Port.
That's a big shock, isn't it, guys?
I mean, they're not going to do too good. What did they come last year? 14th?
No, I think it was around the 10th spot, I'd say. It was 11th actually, sorry. St Kilda finished 10th. But for 13th for me, I have got the Western Bulldogs. I think they're going to slide down the ladder a bit. They've lost Josh Dunkley, who was probably one of their best players.
Just saying, I know a lot of people go for Bulldogs, but they didn't deserve finals last year.
I don't know. It's just they're too inconsistent for me. They beat a few good teams last year in Collingwood and Sydney, but and Melbourne too. But I think they're gonna fall off a bit. The Dogs, just sometimes they don't have enough to finish off big games against big teams, and they always seem to beat the lower teams but never can beat the higher teams on the ladder. So I think the Dogs, they're in a bit of trouble, and so is Luke Beveridge.
Next up, they're Adelaide Crows arch rivals, the Port Adelaide Football Club. Have them sitting around that, bit outside the 8, not too far outside the 8 stage there. They'll win games, they'll probably beat the sides they should beat and lose to the sides that they shouldn't beat, and that'll keep them at that 12th position, I believe. So they've got some talent in there, Port Adelaide. I think they can cause some upsets actually too. I know I just said they'll probably lose to the teams above them, but they do have the potential to cause upsets, especially at Adelaide Oval. And they'll just plod along, but I don't think they'll make a run for the finals this season. So Port Adelaide at 12th.
Okay, is it 12th now?
12th, yeah.
Yeah, 12th. I got Essendon. I mean, Jake Stringer, he's not going to carry the side at all.
He's looking a bit unfit, Jake Stringer.
I mean, Sam Drape is pretty good, but I don't know how he's going to do this year, so.
Alright, for 12th, I've also got Essendon. The Bombers, I feel like are going to do a little bit better than what people think. Their accuracy against the Saints in that practice match was appalling. They've got some good young players, Essendon. However, some of their older players, they just don't have enough. Just not good at all, horrible. Dyson Heppel's a good experienced player, but, they're a pretty young side, Essendon. I think you never know, they could push for finals. but I think 12th is a pretty reasonable position for Essendon, and that's where we've both got them.
Now GWS, I have them at 11th. Might be a bit of a surprise, but I was very impressed with their pre-season performance. I think when people think about the Giants, they always go to the talent they've lost, but I think it's also important to focus on the talent that they still have. And yeah, I believe that'll win them some games this season. I don't think they'll make the finals, but I think they'll be just outside in 11th. Same sort of thing. They have been forced into this back and forth with rebuild, or they've been competitive, but yeah, just never look like a real front runner in the competition. They have in the past, but as of now I can't see that, and yeah, that's why I have them at 11th, but I think the future is bright for them.
For 11th, I've got the Bulldogs. Now, same thing as I said before, Bulldogs did not deserve finals last year. They're not good at all. They're lucky I'm putting them 11th. They should go down a lot more, but I don't think too much, because 8th last year was very lucky. Yep.
8th last year was very lucky for the Bulldogs. For 11th, I've got the Adelaide Crows. I definitely think they could play finals this year. They've shown in the pre-season so far that they have been great. They've picked up Isaac Rankin, who is going to have a breakout year, I predict, this season. Darcy Fogarty as well. They've got some great young players in Ben Keys, Josh Rochelle, to name a couple there. But yeah, I'm excited for the Crows this year. They're a team I can really get behind, and I think 11th position is pretty solid for Matty Nix and the Crows.
Next up at 10th, St Kilda. I just think St Kilda will, they'll have a bit of a roller coaster ride of a season, as they always do. I think they'll miss out on finals again. I think Ross Lyon will show some really good signs in what this club can be, but I think it'll take a bit of time. He's moving into a completely different football club, different environment than when he left the club. So yeah, I think it's going to take a bit of time to switch things back his way. So I have him at 10th. I think they'll miss out on finals, but it won't be a completely negative season for the Saints. I think there'll be some good things to take away from it. So Saints at 10th.
Okay, for 10th I have Crows.
So you've got the Crows too?
They're not too bad.
They aren't too bad.
But it's just they get unlucky sometimes. They beat Carlton last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is surprising.
They nearly beat Fremantle and Collingwood. So if they can finish off those closer games, I think the Crows have a shot at making finals.
Wait, who they delete? Was it West Coast?
Yeah, yesterday in the practice match. But we'll move on to my 10th position now. And for 10th, I've got Port Adelaide. I don't think the Power are going to make finals. I don't know. Port Adelaide just aren't a team. Their list isn't good enough at the moment. Charlie Dixon, he's a bit past it for mine now.
He's so good.
Jason Horne-Francis, I don't know how he's going to do there. Willie Rioli's a solid pickup, but Port Adelaide, they're just a middle-of-the-road side for me. They don't have many elite players besides your Ollie Wines. I think the Power are just going to be in the middle this season. I've got them at 10th position.
Okay, at the worst position on the ladder, no one wants their team to finish here, but 9th position, I have the Western Bulldogs. Could be wrong. They do have a really good list on paper, with the likes of Ugle Hagen improving his game a lot and looking to be a genuine threat for any side that comes up against him in the forward line. I just still think that the Bulldogs are going to be, bottom half of that 8 for sure, as I have them just outside the 8. So I think the Dogs, they'll always be competitive. But yeah, they just won't win enough games, I don't believe, this season to give them a shot in the finals. So sorry, Dogs fans, but Bulldogs at 9th.
Alright, for 9th I've got Freo. Now, they didn't do too bad last year, but
Sorry, Freo fans.
I don't think they're going to do too good this year. I mean,
They've picked up a few good players, though. Luke Jackson
Yeah.
will be solid, O'Meara, but I'll continue on forward.
I
I've
don't
also...
reckon O'Meara's going to look
Yeah.
good in that Fremantle top.
I've also got Fremantle. I'm really sorry to you, Kat, Druzy, Ryder, Henchy, all those Freo fans out there, but I've got you in 9th position. The aspect you lack the most is your forward line. You don't have a really dominant key forward. Matt Taberner, I don't know, just hasn't had a good season for a couple seasons now. And I think that Rory Lobb trade is really going to hurt them because he was playing some decent footy. Jai Amos can come in and do well for them, but I think Freo are just going to miss finals. We're both taking a risk here.
And they lost
Freo could
Akers.
make the top 4. They could even win the flag, but
They lost
Ninth.
Akers.
yeah, their midfield is very good, but yeah, 9th position just because of that forward line that is
Next
lacking.
up, I have the Carlton Blues finally making finals for the first time since 2014, I believe. Was it 2013 or 2014? Can't quite remember. But Carlton in 8th. Congratulations, Blues fans, if this happens. They were really unlucky last year for this not to happen. Can't see them going down the ladder this year. I think they're only going to get better, and I don't think it'll be by a whole lot where they'll be, pushing for a premiership, but I think it'll be enough to get them that final spot. I think they'll probably, go out in an elimination final, but be in the finals this season, which is a positive sign for them. So, that's why I have Carlton at 8th.
Okay, for 8th I've got Gold Coast. Now this is probably an underrated call, but Gold Coast deserved to beat Bulldogs last year. They actually beat Carlton. They actually deleted them.
Yeah.
And Gold Coast, they're good. This is like their first time going to make finals, I reckon.
I hope so too, and that's why I put him in 8th position as well. Players like Took Miller, who is in Brownlow form, Noah Anderson, who is also perhaps in a smoky for the Brownlow, Ben King, who is a Coleman chance, Marbia Chol, who is a smoky Coleman chance. Their young players are great. I love the look of Elijah Holland.
So good.
The Suns are going to be up there, I reckon. Even Jared Witts is a solid ruckman for the Suns.
Big Jared Witts.
I think they're going to make finals, and so does Ward.
Okay, so next up, the Richmond Tigers in 7th again. I believe they finished 7th last year, but I think they will look like a better side this season. Can't see them getting worse when you add Taranto and Hopper into the mix. So I could be wrong. I think they have the potential to, be in the top 4, even top 2, or even win the flag. That's just how unpredictable I believe this team is. They'll always be damaging at the MCG, and where they're lacking, or where they were lacking last year, I believe, was midfield depth, and they've definitely improved that. So, Richmond Tigers in 7th. I believe they'll win. I believe they have the potential to win in the elimination final. But I believe they'll finish 7th. I can't see them. I can't put them above any of the other teams that I have left. So, Richmond Tigers in 7th.
Okay, for 7th I've got the Swans. Now, in that practice match against Carlton, they looked very dangerous. That was my original spot for them, but I think they're going to go higher, but I have to stick with my original choice. So.
It's like,
Yeah.
you sure you don't want to change it, Ward? It's just a practice match anyway.
Yeah, but
so
they deleted Carlton.
it's a practice match.
So?
We'll say 7th for now.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm going to go 7th as well for Sydney. People are predicting them to miss finals. I certainly don't think that's going to happen. Like, just because you've lost the grand final doesn't mean you're going to miss finals. I don't get that sort of trend that's going around. I think Sydney have some great young players, especially Chad Warner, Errol Goulden, and even Logan McDonald can have a big season this year.
Dane Rampy's good.
Yeah, and
He's like the older
I
player.
think Sydney, they've got a chance at top 4 again, but I don't know. I think there's a few teams that are just better than the Swans, and that's why we've both got them in 7th.
6th position goes to the Fremantle Dockers. I believe they finished 5th last season, so I believe they're going to drop, which, could surprise some people. I think a lot of people are putting Freo in the top 4, which is a great prediction too. I don't have anything to say about that, but I don't know. I think they'll continue their good form, and it definitely won't be a huge disappointment of a season if they do finish 6th. I just think they'll continue around that mark and hopefully climb the ladder in the future. I mean, I believe they will climb the ladder in the future, but as of now, I'm going to keep around that 5th, 6th mark, but slot them in 6th.
So 6th Melbourne, they got Brodie Grundy and Lockie Hunter, which are 2 really good players. From good sides too.
Yeah.
So they're gonna do good, but just their other players, like from last year, I don't think they've got it for this year.
Yeah, they did slow down a bit. They started the marathon with a sprint and then ran out of gas at the end. That's a good way to describe Melbourne's 2022. But I've got the Navy Blues for 6th. I think they'll make finals. I think they can make top 4, but still maybe a little too young. And there's a few teams that do probably have more experience and probably a better game style, I'd say. The Blues, they're a young,
who's won the
exciting
equal
team.
most grand finals?
But 6 that's a generous enough spot. Carlton have got some great players in Cripps, Walsh, Curnow, Mackay, Wiedering, Doherty, Sarders. Every AFL YouTuber's been named.
Okay, next up, I have the Sydney Swans in the 5th position. I believe last year's grand final will do a bit of damage to them. I reckon they might even start the season off a bit slow. Be hurting a little bit from that grand final. History's shown that teams that get smashed in the grand final usually drop the year after. So I believe that'll happen to the Sydney Swans. At the same time, I think they'll be a tough team to beat each week, especially at the SCG. But I don't think they'll be as competitive this season as they were last. And I think they'll drop to 5th position. So Sydney in 5th.
So for 5th, I've got Carlton, because they're good and they've won the equal most grand finals.
How does that make?
It's so good. They've got like the best players, right?
So you think
Harry Mackay, Charlie Curnow, Patrick Cripps, Wiedering,
I named them before.
Doherty, Durden.
Yeah, they've got some good players, the
Martin.
Blues, but for 5th, I
Chera.
already named
Chera.
Chera too, yeah. But for 5th, I have put Richmond.
Always.
Taranto and Hopper gained, which is going to be big for the Tigers. I heard they're playing a similar game style to Geelong, and if you play a similar game style to the team that's just won the premiership, you're bound to be up there. The Tigers, they were unlucky to lose that elimination final last year, And Richmond are a team that always seem to have a good game plan, whether or not they have the most elite players in the league. Richmond are the team that always has a solid game plan, and Damien Hardwick is a very solid coach, so that's why I put him in
Next
fifth.
up, the Collingwood Magpies in 4th position. Yeah, I think they're going to keep doing it again this year, the Pies. Not sure if they'll have as many close games as they did last year. But yeah, I think they'll make the top 4. I think they'll make a prelim final, and I believe that they have the potential to win the premiership. Any team really in this inside, well, I'd say from 1st to 7th, I think has the potential to win the premiership this season. But yeah, it's just that tight between them that this is how I've shuffled them inside the ladder. But Collingwood, yeah, I believe they'll finish 4th. I believe they will be a dominant force at the MCG with their home crowd behind them. But yeah, I don't know. I just see the other teams being above them when the season concludes. So Collingwood at 4th.
For 4th, I've got Richmond. Now, like I said before, they've stole Taranto and Hopper from GWS, and GWS barely got like anyone. So yeah, just the Tigers. They didn't do too good last year, but I reckon they're back and they could even almost win the grand final.
That's a good call from you, Ward. 4th, I've got my team, Collingwood. I'm hoping we can get top 4 this season, and I'm hoping, please, we can get a flag. I really want to see that happening. My heart tells me we can, but my head, maybe not. We'll have to find out in the video, the season predictions. But 4th position, watching those pre-season games, we lost to Carlton, we just beat Hawthorn, but our gameplay looks elite. Up the middle is what we do best. We're winning the centre clearances. Seeing Tom Mitchell link up with Jordan De Goey is so exciting. Bobby Hill is going to be an underrated pickup. I believe he can have a Tyson Stengel sort of a season and even get All-Australian. Mark my words right there.
Quayne is going to lead.
But yeah, Collingwood, we've got a lot of exciting players, and 4th position would be
Quayne is
awesome.
going to lead.
Okay, in 3rd position, I have the mighty Geelong Football Club. Yeah, last season, unreal season, but this year I think we won't be as dominant as we were last year. I think Melbourne and Brisbane have just improved their side that much in the trade period that they're going to finish above us. But yeah, I think we'll still be competitive in every game and, you know, be near impossible to beat at GMHBA Stadium. So yeah, I'm going to have Geelong in 3rd.
For 3rd, I've got Brisbane. I mean, like, Joe Danaher, a big goal kicker, Lockie Neal, all them sorts of players.
They got Josh Dunkley
what's
too.
His name? Cameron or something?
Charlie Cameron.
Yeah, Charlie Cameron.
They got Josh Dunkley too, and Will Ashcroft, the number 2 draft pick.
Wait, Josh Kelly?
Josh Dunkley.
Josh Dunkley's so good.
Yeah. For 3rd, I have put the Melbourne Demons. Initially, I thought Melbourne might slide, but then again, I watched that pre-season game.
The leader drill.
I know it's only a pre-season game, but that looked like a training drill against St Kilda. I think Melbourne, there's no reason for them to really slide down the ladder. If anything, they're going up with getting Grundy and even Lockie Hunter. But yeah, I've got arguably the best midfield in the league of Petrarca, Salem, Oliver, Brayshaw. It is a dominant force, the D's, and they can win the flag.
Okay, 2nd position, I'm going to put the Melbourne Demons. I just think that addition of Brodie Grundy looks terrifying, at least going off the first pre-season, or both pre-season games. Yeah, Brodie Grundy and Max Gawn as a duo just looks pretty overpowered, and it'll be tough to beat all year. So That's why I have Melbourne having a better season this year than they did last and finishing in second position.
For second, I've got Geelong. So, Geelong, they lost to Brisbane, but that was just like a little...
In
like,
a practice.
in-
I know, we're probably
like a
basing
little,
this off
you know.
the practice match a little too much. It's nothing
like-
major, but
So, they probably weren't even trying. They were using like one of their power in Rise of Kingdoms. So, like, you know.
I've got Geelong for second as well. They've just come off winning a flag, and I think they can do it again this season. Jeremy Cameron is in for his biggest year yet. Their forward line is so exciting with Hawkins, Cameron and Stengel all in there, all Australian potential. They have gained some good young players in Jack Bowes, Tanner Bruin and Ollie Henry, and even Jai Clark in the draft will be exciting. But I think the Cats, they've now got a lot of good young players and they could easily get minor premiers again, but I'm going second. And yeah, I reckon the Cats will finish second.
So on top of the ladder for the 2023 AFL season, I have the Brisbane Lions. Yeah, I can only see them improving this year after their successful trade period. Looked pretty damaging in the pre-season, especially their midfield. It looks quite dominant, and yeah, having a dominant midfield definitely goes a long way to having a very successful AFL season. So yeah, they'll win their games at the Gabba, and that'll just boost their points and assist them along the way in finishing first on the ladder. So yeah.
Okay, for first, I've got Collingwood. Now, this doesn't mean they win because in the other video, we say wins. Alright?
Yeah, just because you finish first
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're going to win the
Like-
flag.
Because Collingwood, they're like so good. Like, they deserve to win last year.
You're right, we lost a couple close games,
If
but
you
we
made
won a
it
lot
to-
of close games.
If you won that game, then you would have... What did you finish last year? Fourth?
Finished fourth.
Okay, yeah. So they should have won. If they won that game, they would have had confidence to win the others. And then that's what they've done, and then they would have won the grand final.
Alright, so Ward's gone first,
that's actually
Collingwood.
Yeah, that's
And if you've been watching correctly, you would know that I've gone Brisbane for first. They are going to be dominant at the Gabba. I don't see them losing a game there. Will Ashcroft, he's going to be an absolute star. Josh Dunkley is going to have a breakout season. Lockie Neal could win the Brownlow. Joe Danaher, he needs a big year if Brisbane really want to push for the flag. Charlie Cameron, I could go on forever. Harris Andrews even. But Brisbane are a force to be reckoning with, and that's why I've gone with the Lions to finish first. That was our 2023 AFL Ladder Predictions. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe because the season prediction video will be out in a couple of days. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Cheers.
Bye.